I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
And it just goes to show you exactly why she is so universally rejected right now.
They're remaking the movie. They just got rid of the dwarfs. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they
now,
get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group, you just erase that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage, there's power of being on TV, there's power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story, don't change the characters.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
This is someone who is as entitled as, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the...
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable!
I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair! Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not, First Love's kiss can break any curse.
Dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
I know this point has been made, but this truly is the worst casting maybe in the history of the film industry.
When I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere, and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the walk we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
Rachel Zegler just got hit by a PR train wreck, and it's not slowing down for anyone. If you thought her controversy over Snow White was bad enough, think again. Because when The Simpsons decides to turn you into a punchline, you've practically stamped your ticket to cultural infamy. This isn't some throwaway joke, they're going straight for the jugular. And in an industry where image is everything, getting clowned by Springfield's finest is like a neon sign screaming, "Your career is on thin ice." But here's the real kicker. Rachel's meltdown didn't start with The Simpsons, it's only ending there. For months, she's been riling up devoted Disney fans, alienating co-stars, and making arrogant comments about a beloved classic. Some claim she's brutally honest, others say she's flat out destroying her own future. Now add a vicious TV parody to the mix, and you've got a recipe for one of Hollywood's most shocking self-sabotage stories. Stick around because we're about to dive into every outrageous twist of this spectacle. And believe me, it's a lesson in how fast fame can fold like a cheap tent when your ego gets in the way. The title of their upcoming episode says it all: Snow Woke, the Reimagining. It's a shameless jab at Rachel's live-action Snow White fiasco. Fans claim the storyline pulls no punches, portraying her stand-in Rachel Z as vain, naive, and hopelessly out of sync with reality. Insiders who caught an early draft say it's not just playful banter. It's open warfare, dripping with the same savage irony the Simpsons have perfected over decades. What makes it truly devastating is the timing. The show's creators apparently waited until Rachel's controversies were at a boiling point and then doubled down just as the public was hungry for more drama. For Rachel, already struggling with fan backlash and losing major project offers, this comedic blindside is the last thing she needs. But The Simpsons doesn't care. Their entire brand is built on calling out public figures who fold like a cheap tent under scrutiny. And Rachel, with her string of ill-timed interviews and dismissive comments, just made herself an irresistible target. It wasn't that long ago that Rachel Zegler seemed unstoppable. Her breakout role in West Side Story placed her on red carpets in front of adoring fans and on the shortlist for every major Hollywood blockbuster. Critics gushed, audiences cheered. Then Disney handed her the coveted role of Snow White, and many predicted a fairy tale career that would catapult her to the A-list. But the real-life story took a harsh turn. As soon as Rachel began giving interviews, she courted disaster. Yes, a modern take on a beloved classic might have been welcomed, but instead of endearing fans to her vision, she ridiculed the 1937 film. She mocked the prince for stalking Snow White, labeled the original weird and outdated, and delivered it all with an air of smugness that turned off even the most forgiving Disney loyalists. Viral clips painted her as condescending and tone-deaf, everything a fresh Disney princess shouldn't be. In a heartbeat, she went from Hollywood's next darling to the internet's latest punching bag. While fans erupted on social media, Disney chose a surprisingly hands-off approach. No glowing endorsements or clarifying press releases, no damage control from top executives, just radio silence. Then came the official reveal of the film itself. Dwarf characters replaced with random magical creatures, an almost non-existent prince, and a storyline drenched in political messaging. The result? A growing wave of anger from longtime fans who felt robbed of the timeless magic that made Snow White an icon in the first place. When the film finally reached theaters, it bombed spectacularly. Despite Disney's legendary marketing machine, the reimagined Snow White failed to capture the hearts or wallets of audiences. Instead, critics openly savaged it as a ham-fisted lecture rather than a heartfelt homage. Meme makers had a field day. Disney quickly realized it had a certified flop on its hands and abandoned any illusions of making Rachel their new poster child. In Hollywood, one box office fail doesn't always spell doom, but this wasn't just any failure. By the second weekend, the returns were dreadful. Online user scores plummeted, with IMDb showing an abysmal 1.6 rating, historic lows that underscored the breadth of the backlash. The internet practically threw a party celebrating the movie's disastrous performance, gleefully calling it a cautionary tale of what happens when you sabotage your own franchise. Casting agents and studio execs took note. Rumors circulated that Rachel's name was now a red flag during casting discussions. No one wanted the PR baggage that came with her. Projects that had once seemed guaranteed were quietly recast or delayed without explanation. In the span of a few months, she'd gone from being the face of Disney's future to a cautionary tale of how quickly public favor can turn. Just when it seemed like the storm couldn't get more chaotic, Rachel's personal life began to unravel. Her high-profile relationship with Josh Andres Rivera, whom she'd met on the set of West Side Story, ended amid relentless media scrutiny. The couple had been seen as an up-and-coming power duo, but the stress from ceaseless internet attacks and Rachel's sinking reputation reportedly proved too heavy to bear. Their split became one more headline in a cycle already oversaturated with bad press for Rachel. By now, there was an almost frenzied anticipation for her next misstep. Social media trolls piled on. Factions of Disney fans demanded apologies. And Rachel, who couldn't seem to pick her words carefully enough to quell the uproar, found herself further isolated. The relentless spiral of bad news and public betrayals painted a bleak picture for a starlet who'd once been on top of the world. Then came the moment that solidified her downfall in the annals of pop culture, the Simpsons parody. Titled Snow Woke, The Reimagining, this episode features Rachel Z, a delusional celebrity more interested in pushing her personal modern agenda than in preserving any semblance of fairy tale charm. Local townspeople in Springfield attend the film premiere, only to witness a misguided fiasco that flops so spectacularly even Krusty the Clown can't resist mocking it. Parody doesn't stop there. In a scene that has insiders buzzing, Rachel Z appears on Krusty's talk show to defend her movie, only to deliver a meltdown so epic it rivals some of the biggest celebrity breakdowns in Hollywood history. In short, it's a savage takedown that cements her public missteps in cartoon form, always a death knell for any star's reputation. For Rachel, this might be the most humiliating turn yet. The Simpsons aren't just making a joke at her expense, they're declaring her a cultural punchline. In a single half-hour of animated satire, they've summarized her fall from Disney darling to social media pariah, roasting every misstep along the way. It's brutal, but it also might be the new low point in a series of low points. Rachel Zegler's story could have been a triumphant tale of a young actress breathing fresh life into a time-honored classic. Instead, it devolved into a cringe-worthy saga of arrogance, overreach, and catastrophic public relations. Getting lampooned by The Simpsons now feels like the final nail in a coffin built by her own ill-advised words and alienating behavior. Can she claw her way back from this fiasco? Possibly, after all, Hollywood adores a good redemption arc. But bouncing back from being labeled a walking fiasco means more than just hiding out until the headlines fade. It requires genuine humility, public accountability, and a willingness to rebuild trust with an audience that watched her mock their beloved childhood memories. Right now, that tall order looks daunting at best. Will Rachel pull an Amber Heard 2.0 by doubling down on denial and deflection? Or will she own her mistakes and chart a path to redemption? With so many burned bridges, it's anyone's guess. But one thing is clear, The Simpsons just told the world that Rachel Zegler's meteoric rise and fall is more than just another Hollywood cautionary tale, it's comedic gold. And if there's a lesson to be learned here, it's that treating timeless fan-favorite stories with dismissive contempt can push you from the limelight into the line of fire faster than you can say, "Happily ever after."